In the news this week, One Nation WA signals opposition to Labor's surrogacy reform bill, casting doubt on its upper house passage. A WAMN News exclusive.
Youngest Perth City Council candidate claims she has advantage if elected to local government. We have her exclusive announcement. Threatened by his bedside. An elderly man allegedly robbed during a violent home invasion in Perth's east. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loon and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. One Nation WA says it's unlikely to back Labor's plan to expand surrogacy laws. Leader and MLC Rod Caddies says the government should be focusing on health and housing in the regions instead. The bill, which is a conscience vote for Labor MPs only, would expand access to surrogacy and IVF to same-sex couples, singles and transgender and intersex people. But with no guaranteed support from other parties, its passage through the upper house remains uncertain. Steve Anderson with this exclusive report.
One Nation WA leader Rod Caddies has stated that he and his colleague can't see voting in favour of a new bill proposed by the Labor Party that aims to modernise and broaden access to surrogacy services in the state. This legislation reform will allow same-sex couples, single people and transgender and intersex individuals to access ART and surrogacy services. This is an update of former legislation which has been characterised by advocacy groups as archaic and discriminatory. Caddies stated that he feels there are bigger and more important issues which the WA Labor government are not currently addressing, specifically related to health and housing in regional communities. The two One Nation WA MLCs, Rod Caddies and Philip Scott, will be voting on this bill. Caddies has stated that he is pretty sure that Scott has a fairly similar view to himself and has affirmed that they will come to a consensus on the vote after consultation with party faithfuls.
I mean, you could say that about every bill as time moves on, but you've still got to look at priorities. You need to be putting forward things that need fixing, not just because something's outdated. I don't think there's a need for this bill, especially not right now, but not at all to a certain extent. Having two parents creates a better environment for a child, so you're taking that away instantly from them. Why are we creating policy that, is not in the best interests of a child right from birth?
When asked how he thought the Liberal Party would vote on this matter, Caddies was unsure.
Oh, who knows how the Liberals will vote these days. I mean, you can never predict where they're going to sit. Liberal Nationals are the same.
There is no clear pathway for this to pass in the upper house, as it is a conscience vote for Labor. It is most likely that the Greens, who hold 4 seats in the upper house, will unanimously vote in favour. The WA Christians Party are yet to express a public position, as the details of the bill are still to come through. Steve Anderson, WAMN News.
The City of Perth's council election is heating up, with another candidate putting up her hand. 18-year-old Lisa Ma, an Australian-born Chinese student studying business law, announced her candidacy this week with the backing of current acting Mayor Bruce Reynolds. If elected, Ms Ma would become the youngest councillor in the history of the Perth City Council. She gave her first interview to WMN News to outline her intentions.
So coming from a place of serving the community, I think local government is a good place to start for me. I've always had a heart of just voicing for the youth, voicing for the multicultural community, and I really think that as a young student living, studying and working here, I see a lot of opportunities and challenges faced in the city of Perth, and I want to be part of the solution.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about your experience or what you think makes you qualified to be a local representative?
So I've always been engaged in community groups, multicultural groups, grassroots campaigns, and I really have a sympathetic heart. I'm a good listener, and I really try to critically think about the issues in our community from two perspectives. I come from two cultures, and I embrace my identity as an Australian and my other culture. And I think coming from that place, I can really take on issues from different and multiple perspectives, and also listen to what the residents are actually saying. And since I'm young, I have a fresh, forward-thinking kind of mentality, and I really think our fast progressing city needs that currently.
What exactly your policies are that you would like to advocate if elected?
First of all is the activation of the city. I think Perth is a fast-growing city, but if you walk onto the streets Wednesday night, Thursday night, empty, and our residents, their perception of the city, late night Northbridge, very dangerous, a lot of antisocial behaviour, drugs, alcohol, and I think we need to make the city a safer place, but at the same time, the activation aspect of it, we need to make it so that people are willing to come, they feel safe to come, and there are things to do in the city, but we just need more improvements on making sure people feel comfortable in that space to have fun and to ultimately flourish as the city of Perth. Yeah.
The fact that you've not been in council before, why should Perth voters choose you?
I'll reiterate, I think because I'm young, and being young is a double-edged sword, right? You're lacking experience, but I also think you're like a blank piece of paper, you're uncontaminated, and I think there's a space to draw, and that space is the future for young people to create. Young people are not only the future, but now, and I really think that to take a step forward, the residents should look at what young people have to say. And yeah, ultimately that is the goal, to serve the people of the city of Perth.
Do you have any future ambitions to serve in state or federal politics?
So volunteering for state and federal candidates, I think what they're doing is definitely something I aspire to be. Perhaps in the future I will go into state and federal, but currently right now my focus is on the local community, on local government, and even if I do go beyond to that step, I always remember where my roots are, and that's the city of Perth, and that's the local, yeah.
Can you please also tell us why you believe that Bruce Reynolds endorsed you?
I met Bruce actually when I was 17. He's very active in the in advocating for multiculturalism in our city. And the first time speaking to him, he looked at me in the eyes, very focused, very paying attention to every word I have to say, and that part of him just drew me. And I thought that I need to support someone like that, support someone who's willing to speak for us, willing to speak for our community, someone who's genuine, someone who's nice, and someone who's just a decent human being, if more than decent human being. And I think being part of his team is an absolute privilege. He takes care of everyone very well, and I'm looking forward to what the Perth City will look like under his lead.
Masked intruders woke a 78-year-old Forestville man in bed, allegedly stealing cash, alcohol, coins and a phone before allegedly damaging his Speedway sprint car. Police say it happened at around midnight on Tuesday the 24th of June, when two men armed with a machete and a tomahawk demanded money and forced the victim to lie face down before fleeing. One intruder allegedly poured paint into the engine of the man's vehicle. Suspect 1 is about 180 centimeters tall, large build, tan skin, foreign accent, armed with a machete, wearing a balaclava, black clothing and blue gloves. Suspect 2 is about 170 centimeters tall, medium build, tan skin, foreign accent, armed with a tomahawk, wearing a balaclava, black clothing and red and blue gloves. Anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers.
Western Australia has unveiled 3 new Leonardo AW139 RAC rescue helicopters as part of the $26.7 million investment to boost emergency response. Managed by DFS and sponsored by RAC, the aircraft feature advanced search and rescue technology, aeromedical equipment and larger cabins for more patients, passengers or cargo. The helicopters can fly nearly 40% faster and 300 kilometres further than the previous Bell 412 fleet. Operating from Jandakot and Bunbury, the RAC rescue service runs year-round across WA and has completed more than 10,500 missions since 2003. Replacing aircraft in service for over 2 decades, the new fleet will improve speed and coverage from Albany in the south to Dongara in the north. Defence Commissioner Darren Clem and Emergency Services Minister Paul Papalia inspected the helicopters at Jandakot this week.
Families attending this year's Perth Royal Show will benefit from half-price entry for children, students and concession card holders as part of the $2.8 million funding package from the Cook Labor government. The discount applies to children under 16, student and concession card holders when accompanied by paying adults, with free entry for children under 4. Funding will also support the show's nightly fireworks and agriculture-themed drone display, which organisers said will be the largest in history. The funding package included $660,000 for agriculture shows across WA and a new $600,000 WA Agriculture Show Grants program to support events in 2026. The Perth Royal Show runs from the 27th of September to the 4th of October, featuring a smart farm ag tech zone, the return of the Wool Fashion Parade, and free attractions such as livestock competition, wood chopping and cooking demonstrations.
WA's independent filmmakers, actors and producers gathered in West Perth this week for the Perth Horror Film Festival. The sold-out event celebrated the success of local creators in a tough creative climate. Several local and international independent films were showcased as participants worked to raise awareness of their work. With Western Australia soon to have its own major film studio in Malaga, creators are hopeful independent artists will be able to use the facility to showcase their talents to the world. They're also calling for greater government support for independent film productions.
It will start to uplift Perth because everyone's going to start to go, wow, let's do this. Let's encourage it to what is it in Malaga? Is it they've set up that new studio sort of warehouse type thing? Yeah. Now that's given it a buzz. So now it's starting to, and of course winter it gets harder, it gets quiet, but it's everyone needs to bring it out more so we know that Perth's films exist.
We're already starting to see a bit of success thanks to these indie film festivals. International indie films have been going into Cinefest, for example, and Revelation Film Festival. Some of these festivals have films shown all around the world, and we have our films included in these festivals. So now I think it's good that we're starting to get picked up and
noticed. Yeah.
Because there's so much passion into it. There's so many stories that need to be seen on the big screen. I think we've managed to bring a lot of films to the big screen that you may not have seen. We have filmmakers all the way from the age of 15 plus, and some of those young filmmakers, it's very, very hard, especially when you're a teenager, to get your film on the big screen, and I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing that we're doing here.
And now here's Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. Recently, we've seen a lot of revelations about the state of particularly Sir Charles Gairdner Hospital in Western Australia, and it brings up a bigger issue, which is that governments have got a lot of press people who are working on putting a positive spin on stories. And after a while, this can step over the line into actually misleading the public about the true state of facilities that are being provided to the taxpayer. This is probably not true only in health, it's probably also the case with state schools and the police force and other things that we had expected 20, 30 years ago would be run at a very high standard, that through years and years and years of underinvestment are now in fact being run at a standard that most people would not think was reasonable or acceptable in our developed economy, where we have a relatively reasonable rate of taxation and we have an expectation that the government will provide certain services that can't be done through private industry. So it's time for the government to be honest with the public about the state of affairs in all of these areas, and I would add in state housing as well, and say that we need to play a bit of catch up, and if we need to spend the money, then that is the reasonable thing to do. So Charles Gairdner Hospital certainly needs to be fixed, but I think it's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to our health facilities and hospitals. There are unreasonable waiting times for outpatient appointments, for elective surgery and for emergency care. And all of that will take a pretty vast investment, not just in the facilities themselves, but also in the staff that are required in the future to run them. We're a society, we're not an economy, we're not just here to make surpluses and to put money in the banker's estate. We're here to look after the workers and the people who can't work for whatever reason, and that is the expectation that we should be making very clear to our politicians in the next little while. I think the Premier's getting the idea, and hopefully it will result in some positive change, at least for the health system and for Charles Gardner Hospital. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, in regards to the local film festival, how amazing to hear that it's been sold out.
And it's not just local films too, Melly. I know you're a film lover yourself, but there's also International Independent Film Showcase as well. And don't forget the Malaga Film Studio.
It's going to be amazing to see what we can accomplish to come. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Subscribe to WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. wamnnews.com.au/news/extra, supporting independent local news, keeping democracy strong. From Melly, Paige and Steve Anderson, wish you good health, good night. See you next week.
Thanks for watching.